name is Dave Tran, and this is LuxTV, shedding and spreading light for the chiropractic student. We have chiropractor Dr. Jon Chung calling from West Palm Beach, Florida. He graduated Life University in 2010. Dr. Jon, welcome to LuxTV.
Thanks, Dave. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm well. So let's get straight to it. So how did you get your start in chiropractic?
It's actually a pretty interesting story. I was actually at the University of Central Florida, and I knew I'd always wanted to go into healthcare. And from all I knew growing up, healthcare was basically medicine. So I had every intention of going to medical school, becoming an MD, and going down that route. Fortunately, one of my best friends in college is a legacy chiropractor. He was going to chiropractic school, was super passionate about it. His name is Matt Westheimer. And he kind of lit a flame underneath me and told me about chiropractic and how it's not just about moving bones in the spine, it's about having the body heal itself. And that's something that just resonated with me throughout my entire life, because I was always that kid that never took anything when he got sick. I always postponed trying to go to the doctor. I was always kind of raised with that kind of holistic self-healing mentality. And I noticed an incongruence between, all right, I'm going to go to med school and do all these things that I would never do to myself, or I could choose another path and go a more natural route. I learned more about chiropractic and I really immersed myself in it, and I've definitely seen how powerful it can be in changing the lives of my own family.
Yeah, that's awesome. And sometimes it only just takes a small conversation of what chiropractic is, because there's a lot of misconceptions and stereotypes of what chiropractic is and what chiropractors do. So it was just a simple conversation, and then it kind of changed the entire trajectory of your life. So that's awesome.
Yeah. It was a blessing for sure.
Yeah. So you were recently published in the Journal of Upper Cervical Chiropractic Research, and the case study was called A Resolution of Hypertension Following a Reduction of Upper Cervical Vertebral Subluxation, a case study. What exactly is a case study?
Well, a case study is basically when someone notices something interesting in their practice, then they start to write it down and they submit it in a scientific journal so that the world can see, hey, this happens in my practice when I did this intervention, or I noticed this trend happening in my practice. And a case study is basically you document the success of one of your cases, or you could even document one of your failures, but we want to be able to track it with something that you did in the practice. And in our case, we're talking about the reduction of vertebral subluxation. Because right now, chiropractic research is really geared towards, all right, if you manipulate the spine, does something happen? What we really want to find out is, if you reduce the subluxation, do all these good things happen that chiropractic promises? And sometimes just the best way to start the conversation is to document something really interesting. And, we see tons of really unique, interesting cases in our office on a daily basis, but no one knows about it because no one is publishing anything about it. And I think that the world needs to be exposed to really the potential for chiropractic through some of these case studies, which can lead and build on to better, more advanced studies afterwards.
Yeah. And one of the things that always comes to mind when chiropractic students are in school and they're required to take the research classes, they always feel like a fear and a disdain for chiropractic research, thinking that I think it's great, but it's not for me. And I think it's one of those things where I just don't think that students kind of understand what goes into it. So what exactly kind of happens, with, for example, in your case study, does it come from just kind of showing up to the office and, something awesome happens and you start documenting, or how does it kind of really all work?
Truthfully, if you want to have the best results with this, is you have to start from the beginning and just writing down everything you're seeing about that patient in front of you from the very start, from the time that you start taking notes on the person during the consultation, on your day-to-day visits, and just through your everyday conversations with that patient. If they're noticing something change within their body over that course of time, then it's on you to record that and keep it in the person's record. And something just as simple as chiropractors taking better notes during their consultation and during the day-to-day notes during care, it's something that could infinitely change their ability to record these results and submit it for case studies. And of course, you want to pair it with objective findings. So ideally, every chiropractor is using, some kind of objective finding to determine subluxation that tells them when to adjust and when not to adjust. And when using those objective findings and pairing it with the person's results, then you have something that you're observing from a scientific lens and a scientific viewpoint. This doesn't mean that we prove that chiropractic can treat or cure or do anything, but it lets you say, hey, I'm observing this, and this is something that was pretty neat and novel that's happening in my practice, and I wanted to let the world know about it. So in the case for my case study, it was actually one of the first patients I took care of, which is my dad. And my dad had high blood pressure for a long, long time. He was taking medications for it for 15, 20 years before he started getting under my chiropractic care. And over the course of time, NUCA, which is a technique that I practice, published this amazing study by Dickhold showing that blood pressure can be reduced by significant amounts when someone gets their atlas corrected. And I noticed the same thing in my dad, so I wrote down all the notes, wrote down his pre-blood pressure numbers, his post-blood pressure numbers, how often I adjusted them, what his subluxation looked like, and then we had enough information to submit it to a journal and say, all right, this is just something more that supports the research that Dr. Dickholz did. Now, it would be great if we go beyond stuff that's already been well established and start showing, the ALS bucket thing is huge now. Has anyone ever helped anyone with ALS, chiropractically speaking? We have no idea, because if you type that into a chiropractic search index, there's nothing there. So if you have cases like that, then the world needs to see it so we can see, all right, is there a chance that correcting someone's subluxation can make someone with ALS show improved outcomes? And that's the thing that we're lacking tremendously in chiropractic.
Yeah, and I know that you kind of connect docs and kind of help them out to create case studies. What's involved with that?
Well, from the doctor's standpoint, all it really takes is for you to take some really good notes, show what your subluxation was, what your day-to-day action was correcting it, and make sure that it's legible for a student to use. And if you have that, you could submit your notes, your narrative to a student, and they'll actually go through some of the more difficult work, which is going through the literature and seeing, why did chiropractic work for this case? How does the subluxation play a role in managing that person's condition? And then once you put those two ideas together and you really, hammer it out and make it something that's worthy of putting into a journal, and you could submit it and then possibly get published in a peer-reviewed journal and use that as another way of saying, you know what? The doctor in this practice is actually committed to doing research. We actually look at the literature. We understand what processes happens on the research level, at least at the basic level. And you could have that conversation with not only your patients, but with other doctors, with other therapists, and with other professionals. So it just elevates your credibility too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that you are just kind of opened up shop out in West Palm Beach. I was fortunate to be able to visit your office, which was beautiful, was awesome. So what would be some great advice that you would like to share with students that are either in school now or getting ready to graduate here pretty soon?
Some of the best things that ever happened to me when I was a student is having a strong support system. Like, my best friends in chiropractic were all pretty like-minded, and we supported each other. We shared ideas on, chiropractic philosophy, technique, growing a practice. I would find one technique and get really good at it, so when you get out into practice, you feel super confident about adjusting someone as soon as you're out of school. And I would also start to immerse yourself in people that are very strong in areas where you didn't learn some things effectively. In my case, I learned nothing about business in chiropractic school. So I used my time as an associate to learn from a great doctor, Dr. Justin Brown. I also invested in Mark Swerdlich's Persuasion Manual and started learning about what real marketing looks like. And I just started having mentorship from people that have had real success. And if you know, you can tell that these people have integrity as well, and those are the people that you should trust and take advice from. So really, when you're finding your mentors, be selective about, is this person just someone that says great things on stage, or are they actually the real deal and they're doing something significant and noteworthy in practice as well? And that's something that I encourage all students to really look at, and not just, fall in love with someone's stage presence, but see who that person really is and see if there's someone worth listening to. And if you go by that, then you will develop and find the tools that you need to succeed.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Jon, for sharing your light with us today. If you want more information or want to connect with Dr. Jon directly, check out the links below. Every week I will be uploading a new interview with another leader in the chiropractic profession. If you like this video, please share it with your classmates, give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. My name is Dave Tran, and this is LuxTV, shedding and spreading light.